Let's keep going. We've got Donald Trump saying he won't meet Carney for a while, as the Canadian Prime Minister says they were close to a trade deal. Trump says we were one of the most difficult countries to deal with. No surprise. We've got audio here. Donald Trump saying Canada has been ripping us off for a long time. Can we play that audio, Efron? Sorry to put you on the spot. It's 2 minutes of audio. So.
Flight yesterday, you sent out your Truth Social about the Canada tariffs. Can you walk through when you expect those to take effect? And can I ask why?
I don't know. We're gonna let them know. Ronald Reagan loved tariffs. He used them sparingly, which he probably would make a mistake. He made a mistake in that. And again, I was the biggest fan of Ronald Reagan, but on finance, on trade, it wasn't his strong suit. But he liked tariffs, and they totally changed that to say that he didn't, because they're catering to the Supreme Court, because Canada's been ripping us off for a long time, and they're not going to rip us off anymore. Canada has been ripping us off for a long time.
Why?
One of the most difficult countries to deal with has been Canada. As much as I love Canada itself and the people of Canada, they've just had a lot of bad representatives. They did a fake ad yesterday. They were caught. The Ronald Reagan Foundation was the one that caught him, and it was totally the opposite of what they said. So I don't like that. That's dirty pool, and you can't do that. And let me just tell you, they shouldn't have done it. They've apologized, and they said we're going to take the ad down. Well, they did it, but they did it very late. They let it play for another 2 nights, and now they took that ad down. So I don't know when it's going to kick in. We'll see, but I don't really want to discuss it. Let's go.
Mr. President, can I just add, this is an ad, that was an ad run by a provincial government in Canada. Why are you mad at the federal government?
Because whether it's provincial or Canada itself, they all knew exactly what the ad was. The Prime Minister knew, everybody knew. The Prime Minister knew what the ad was before it went.
Will you see him at APEC? Do you want to meet with him?
I don't want to meet with him. No, I'm not going to be meeting with him for a while. No, I'm very happy with the deal we have right now with Canada. We're going to let it ride.
Now, Sheila, before you weigh in, I just have a little pet peeve I got to mention here. I'm getting tired of these little brief pressers outside of Air Force One because, as you know, in this business, bad video is passable, bad audio is unforgivable. I'm just thinking, is there a way around this? Could we have a real life portable cone of silence, as was tried and Get Smart, so we can keep the jet engines from Air Force One interrupting the audio? Because that was horrible audio. Anyways, I just wanted to put that on the table as a potential pop culture solution to this audio problem. Your thoughts?
Well, I don't mind the bad audio because at least he's doing press conferences, unlike Joe Biden, who just could barely walk up the stairs of Air Force One. And then Trump is walking up the stairs, answering questions night and day on Air Force One. So I guess if he's going to continue to do that, maybe they should figure out an audio solution. However, he is right when he says that everybody knew about it. Well, I wouldn't say everybody, because I don't feel like Scott Moe knew about it. I don't feel like Danielle Smith knew about it. But I do think that everybody in that Laurentian zone knew exactly what was going to go out the door. And I think they are idiots if they didn't know how Trump was going to respond. And the conspiratorial part of me thinks that they knew how he was going to respond because they're worried about an upcoming election, and all they've got is to campaign against Trump as opposed to their own records.
No, well said. And, you know, Sheila, I think one of the key points in that presser Donald Trump gave was when he said that Canada has been ripping us off forever. And I'm thinking of all the things we do trade in. And go back to our earlier point. I really think he means supply management, where you can have an almost 300% tariff. Trump said 400% on Friday, but I think he got the math wrong on that. Because I'm thinking of all the things that we deal with the United States. And I cannot think of anything that's more of a trade imbalance than the commodities such as dairy, eggs, turkey, and chicken that fall under the auspices of supply management. Can you think of anything that the president might be thinking about when he's talking about the ripoff we're allegedly doing on the U.S.?
No, and this is they've said this is the big holdup in trade negotiations, or one of the big holdups, besides everybody's bad attitude. But this is some sort of golden calf in Canadian politics for some reason. Not only does it hinder our trade negotiations, it punishes the poor. Like what is the point here? And it prevents innovation. It prevents new people, new entrepreneurs getting into the market. I just think it is outdated and Soviet style in a world where we want to pursue these global trade deals. We have this thing that is so harmful and protectionist to everybody involved, except for a handful of Quebec and Ontario producers.
And Sheila, I don't see any any positivity in terms of the Conservatives bringing about change. As a matter of fact, speaking of embarrassing photo ops, remember Andrew Scheer drinking out of a carton of milk when he won the leadership by less than 1% on the 13th ballot over Maxime Bernier? And a big part of that was bringing Quebec dairy farmers on board to support him. So, like I said, much like healthcare, supply management, for some reason, is a third rail issue. And I say for some reason, there's a lot of farmers in those commodities I just mentioned, but there's a hell of a lot more consumers that are being gouged. So this is what I don't get.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm to the point where I'm like, just compensate these guys for their quota once and move on from it.
Yeah.
Right? And just move on from it. Where they say, our quota is valuable to us. We can will our quota if we want. Okay, let's compensate you once for this quota and end it. Move on.
And a sad fact is, Sheila, I've done research on this. You'll find there are Bay Street lawyers that own dairy quota as opposed to actual dairy farmers.
Sure. Yep. There is a way forward. Other countries have ended their quota system. It's time we did it too.
Yeah. But is it going to happen?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I'm trying to think positively. I'm trying to look forward. I'm trying to give the president something to get us back on the nice guy list. What else is there?
I don't know. You got to get away with Doug. You got to get away from Doug Ford. Like, Doug Ford is to the point where he should really be stepping down, given the damage that he's done to the Canadian economy with just one ad. If that man had an ounce of shame and a pittance of dignity, he would step down and say, look, I did what I did, maybe he did out of goodwill. I don't think he did. I think it was sort of sinister.
And but you know what?
There should be pressure from within the own party for him to step down at this point. What's wrong with that party?
I don't recognize the PC party of Ontario anymore, but I can tell you something in Doug Ford's control, and I bet this would score major merit points when it comes to President Trump. He could say, as a caveat, as a good faith gesture, we are putting American beer, wine, and spirits back on the shelves of the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. By the way, there's like $1 billion worth of product in a warehouse somewhere.
Just sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. I think if he does that, that's something in his complete control. Sure. That gets the talks moving again. That's just me thinking, I don't know.
Well, I mean, that would mean that he would have to set aside his anti-Americanistic hate. But he really should be stepping down after his, I want to say mistake, but I don't think it was a mistake. It was a calculated move. Blew up on the Canadian economy, derailed trade talks. Yeah. Like, how badly do you have to screw up before you resign in disgrace in Ontario?
And you know what, Sheila? You know what I think the problem is with Doug Ford? He does not understand Donald Trump. And there's a cure for that. Newt Gingrich, several years ago, wrote a book called that very thing I just said, Understanding Trump. If Doug Ford could pick up that book and read it, that would be a primer for him going on. Now, I know it's a big ask It's not like it's a Dr. Seuss book with rhyming couplets and nice illustrations. But if Doug Ford set aside some time, he could use that book to get into the mindset of Donald Trump and find out what makes that guy tick. Because right now, he has zero understanding of this man, Sheila.
Right. Like, look what we're watching right here. He does a collab, as they say in the beauty industry on YouTube. He does a collab with Gavin Newsom, Donald Trump's nemesis.
Exactly.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking?
And this is the bet with our maple syrup and California wine, right?
Yeah, this is the one.
Well, guess what, guys? How do we get California wine into the province? It's under the ban, remember?
Right. Isn't that the stupidest thing? You banned their wine, Doug.
Wow. You know what?
Stupid.
You know what? Now, because I'm no longer a Blue Jay fan, long story, I won't bore you with the details, Sheila, but now I want the Jays to win so that Newsom has to send a case of California wine, because holy hypocrisy. How does Fat Bastard get a product from California that is banned to all the plebs like me in this province? He never thought that through either, did he?
Sure. Whoever dubbed him Fat Trudeau really nailed it. What did I describe him as last week? I was talking to Lise, and I described Doug Ford as if he, think of a medieval fairy tale. If an evil witch cast a spell on a farmer's pig and then condemned him to roam the earth as the local buffoon, that is Doug Ford. And yet, somehow he remains Premier of Ontario. It's fascinating.
Wow. That's a great. So Lise was channeling the island of Dr. Moreau, I believe, in that comparison. I love Lise. Lise, if you're watching, I love you, and I love your insight.
It was me who said it, but we were in discussion about how to.
Well, I love you too, Sheila. I don't play favorites.
I know that. We've got one. Let's just do one more clip. Prime Minister Mark Carney is asked about President Trump insisting he doesn't want to speak with Canada for a long time after Doug Ford's $75 million nuclear bomb in the middle of trade negotiations, which resulted in more tariffs for everybody. Let's watch this, and then we'll hit an ad break right after.
Have you had any contact with President Trump since Thursday?
I have not.
Given that President Trump said today on Air Force One, I don't know if you heard this, but in the last hour he said he doesn't plan to meet with you for a long time. Is it worth continuing to pursue a discussion, a meeting, a phone call with him at this point?
I didn't see the comment. Look, we stand ready to sit down with the United States, myself with the President, my colleagues with their colleagues, when the U.S. is ready to sit down.
They just said they're not.
We had made considerable progress on a supplement to the trading relationship that we had, considerable progress in the areas of steel, aluminum, and energy, associated areas as well. And as I just said, we're ready to sit down when they are ready to do that. If they're not ready to do that, as those comments indicate, then we were always going to do these things, to be clear. We're going to first and foremost build our economy, build it with generational investments, and you will see that not just the scale of the ambition, but the speed with which we put that into effect in the budget on November 4th, and continue to do what we've been doing over the course of the last few days and over the course of recent months, which is to build those other partnerships and deepen those other partnerships on which we're getting very much traction. Thank you.
Yeah, but not building pipelines, not building up the
Right.
oil and gas sector, which is the product the entire world wants from Canada, Sheila. And by the way, am I offside here? But when I look at Mark Carney's body language, when I look at his face, when he's getting just a mildly pesky question asked of him by the trained seals in the mainstream media, it's almost as though he's thinking, do you know who I am? Do you know I'm a CEO? Do you know I'm the former Bank of England governor? He is not used to this. He always looks so uncomfortable.
Not just uncomfortable, bored and sort of aloof. Like, look at him. He's like, excuse me, I'm a banker. and I'm just in charge, and how dare you ask these questions? And like, it's remarkable how nobody is reacting to the absolute catastrophe that Doug Ford unleashed on this country with the collusion of the federal liberals through his absolute stupidity. No one's acting like this is just like a match and gas thrown into the economy. Nobody's acting like this is a serious thing. They're just like, no, this is a huge deal. And thousands of jobs are going to be lost because of this, and Doug Ford should resign.
Gee, I'm almost getting misty-eyed for blackface, but I guess he's having too much fun on Katy Perry's yacht right now, trying to score his son a record contract. But
You know what?
anyhow,